Hey everyone, this video is going to talk about how to create main points for a literary essay. This is the most important part of a literary essay. This is where you kind of are going to get the most of your marks when you write your essay, is from how you outline your arguments, how you prove what you said in your arguments, and then how you explain the proof that you use. Very similar to how we've been answering questions. This is kind of why I've been on you guys to answer questions in the way that you have been. There are three-step process, right? The P paragraph type of answer, point, example, explanation, because this is exactly what you're doing here. This was all in kind of setting you up for writing your literary essay, and especially this aspect of your literary essay, your main points. Because in your main points, you're going to argue your concept, you're going to use a quote from the play to back up what you're saying, and then you're clearly going to explain how that quote proves what you said. But just kind of starting to talk about main points in general. So the whole purpose of your literary essay is to argue something and prove it. And in your main points is where you prove what you said you're going to prove in your thesis. Yesterday we talked about an introduction, what that is, what a thesis statement is. And remember, a thesis statement is what you're going to prove and how you're going to prove it. Your main points cover the how you're going to prove it part. So each main point will be one thing that you said, one main point, one way that you said you were going to prove your thesis. So just take a look at the lesson here. So your objective in writing a literary essay is to convince the person reading your essay that you've supported the idea you're developing. Okay, it's not a conversation. It's not, it's not a paragraph you're writing, etc. It is a formal literary essay. So you really have to work hard to prove exactly what it is that you're saying. So the three things that your essay must do is it's got to cover the topic you're writing about. You're going to choose from one of those 5 topics I've given you. You're going to create your thesis statement around that, and then you're going to write your main points to back that up. So have a central idea to your thesis, and then your essay must be organized so every argument you make is backed up by evidence from the play or an outside source. Okay, this is what you're doing in these main points. Right? And I'm included here in the Google document and basically an outline on how to create main points. You need 3 of them. You need 3 separate main points to back up what you're saying. Anybody can find one thing that backs up their thesis, but the more things that you find, the better. The more things you can argue that help back up your thesis, the better. So in English, we tend to use 3. So you're writing a 5-paragraph essay for this literary essay. Paragraph 1 is your introduction. Paragraph 2 is your first main point. Paragraph 3 is your second main point. Paragraph 4 is your third main point. Paragraph 5 is your conclusion. So each main point is at least 1 paragraph in and of itself. So a little bit here on the structure of those main points. And basically the structure of a main point is exactly what you would do in your P paragraphs. The very first thing you have to do is argue your point. And you have to argue. 1 sentence is not arguing something. In order to argue something, it's probably 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences about explaining why you feel the way you do. Okay. Then, use textual evidence. Okay, and using specific details, and in our case, specific quotations from the play Death of a Salesman to back up what you said in your argument. Okay? And then you're going to do that again. You're going to have at least 2 examples per main point. Okay, so the purpose of your arguments is to relate the details of the paragraph to your thesis statement, and then tie the details of your paragraph together using examples from a text to back up your opinion. So you've given your opinion in your argument. Then you're going to use an example to back up that opinion. You're going to use another example to back up that opinion. Then you're going to explain, or really you're going to explain after each example, why those examples prove what you said in your opinion. If you don't use proof, then you don't have an essay. You have an opinion piece, okay? Because you're just giving your opinion without proof. The proof is there to back up what you're saying in your arguments. And that's the most important thing for this essay. This is where you're going to get your marks. What do you say in terms of your opinion? How do you prove your opinion? And can you show that you're aware of why the quotes you're using back up what you're saying? Okay, so again, that's that 3-step process. You're going to do that. You need 2 examples per main point. So this literary essay you'll have 3 main points with at least 2 examples per main point. So you're going to have 6 examples over the course of your essay. The substance of each main point will be the explanation you give, summary, paraphrase, specific details, and direct quotations that you need to support and develop the more general statement you've made in your arguments, right? So like I said, you make a general statement in your argument, you use quotes to back that up, and then you specifically state why those quotes prove what you said you're going to prove. And what I've given you here is a little example from an essay that was written on a short story called A and P by John Updike. The story, it doesn't really matter what happens in the story, but please take a look and understand why this is a good paragraph. You'll see that there is explanation. They use quotes and examples to back up what they're saying. And then finally down here, okay, the quotes and examples are explained, right? They prove why they use these quotes and examples, and the proof of why these quotes and examples proves what they talked about in their argument. So you have your argument, your proof, and then you explain how that proof shows your argument, right? And a little explanation about how the strong one. So you're going to open up this Google document here, and it has everything you need to know about writing a main point. Okay, so we've written the introduction, and you have your thesis statement. It's now time to prove what you said you're going to prove in your thesis statement, and you do this using an argument. So first you have to use argue your concept. Like I said, this can't just be one sentence. Okay? One sentence is not enough argument. It's not true argument. It's just you making a statement. Argument is the same idea, discussed and talked about in a number of different ways. You're going to argue your point. Then after you argue your concept, you're going to use a quote from the novel, the play, and use explanation to back that up. You're going to repeat that twice because you need 2 examples per main point. You have 3 main points, 2 examples per main point. So you're going to need a minimum of 6 quotes from the play or elsewhere to back up what you're saying. So what I've given you here is a bit of a practice task. Okay, you can do it on anything you want as long as there's some research. Like you have to be using a quote from somewhere to back something up as practice for when we write our literary essay on the play. You're gonna be using the play to back up what you're saying. So whatever topic you choose, make sure there's something you can do some research. Just go to the internet, look something up, and be able to meld those quotes in there to back up what you're saying. You can use anything you want. If you're having trouble coming up with something that you want to argue, it's pretty simple. I've given you a topic here. Cats are better than dogs. Agree or disagree. So if you disagree, then your thesis statement is going to be, clearly dogs are a better pet than cats. If you agree with this statement, your thesis statement is going to be cats are a better pet than dogs. What you need to come up with are your 3 main points, your 3 concepts that you're going to use to prove that. Now, I caution you, one mistake that a lot of people make is they use examples and not concepts. In other words, your 3 main points can't be Willie, Biff, and Happy. Those are not, Willie, Biff, and Happy are not concepts. They're not ideas that need to be argued. They are what they are. They're characters in a play. They're examples to back something up, or things they do you'll use them as examples to back them up, but they are not main points in and of themselves. Main points are concepts. They're ideas that need to be argued. A character in the play or something that happens in the play is not a concept, doesn't need to be argued. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do to change it. So make sure when you're creating your main points, you are using ideas or concepts. These are abstract concepts, like could be love, anger, hate, same things we talked about in our symbol unit in poetry, things that actually need to be argued. So make sure you have 3 separate concepts that you're arguing. Then you're going to bring in specifics from the course of the play to back up what you're saying. So you're going to create a thesis statement. So, cats are better than dogs because 1, 2, and 3, whatever your 3 points are, or vice versa, or on anything else you want to do. So now you can write your main point. So right here, what I'd like you to do is write down your argument. Okay, so, argue your concepts. A little blurb here about what that means, what you have to do. We're looking for at least 3 or 4 sentences here, not 1 sentence. It's 3 or 4 sentences of argument. Then, after you've argued, so argue your main point, okay? Then you're going to find an example to back up your argument. So please, again, here a blurb about examples and how to do that. So you're going to use example from whatever. So in your essay, it's going to be example from the play. You're going to use example from research, whatever you've chosen to do. Then you're going to explain how the quote you use proves what you talked about here in your argument. So it's argument, example, explanation down here. And you're going to repeat that twice because you have to use 2 examples per point. So here you'd use your second example from the play. I just cut and pasted this from the organizer I gave you. So here it's not going to be the play. It's going to be whatever it is you chose to look up. But your second example, explanation, and then that's it. Now, in your essay, you're going to do it. You're going to repeat that 3 times. That's just your first main point. But here, I just want you to, if you can do it once, you can do it 3 times. Just a matter of a little more work. Okay, so that's exactly how I would like for you to construct your main points. You can hand it into the Dropbox that's on the lesson, and I will be able to get it back to you with some comments and feedback explaining what you did well and what you'd work on.